kind of staying a little bit attached to it, I did kind of want to, get all of our opinions about exactly how strong we think Boruto and also Kawaki are. Now, of course, we understand, as Mello said, the power scaling right now is a little bit wacky, but in regards to like comparing Boruto to another character that we do know how strong they are, let's say a Naruto with Baryon mode, potentially even Naruto with Karma, or even like a Jigen, how strong do you guys think that Boruto and Kawaki are respectfully to those other characters?
I don't think they're
I love
I don't think they're scaling up to those characters just yet.
Specifically, which one do you think?
Like Barry mode Naruto, I don't think that we're at that power scaling yet. Not just yet.
Well, how about
I'm,
Naruto with Karma?
What do
so
you
let me
think,
ask a
Mello?
question. So let me ask a question. Do we think like Barry mode is the highest level of power we will see throughout the entire series?
Probably
No.
not. No, I don't
Okay,
think
okay.
so.
Just curious with that. Okay, so here's how I scale it. So we know Boruto. Okay, so I'm gonna use Boruto as an example, and then maybe throw Kawaki in when it's applicable. We know Boruto using Karma V1, just him tapping into like 8% of Momoshiki's power. He's not stronger than base Naruto. We saw that in their sparring matches. Um,
Hmm.
so then we have like Karma V2, which is Boruto tapping into like the knowledge and power, which he
Hmm.
was giving like a suppressed code that work. I would say they're within the same tier, but Boruto is gaining a bit of an advantage. So I would, and so then the question becomes, where do I scale Boruto and Code from chapter 64? And then I have a video on this. So I think Code, is because he has the limiters on, and those limiters were placed so that he can be weaker physically than Jigen. I have to put him below Jigen. But I also think he
Mm.
might be either in the same tier or stronger than Six Paths, Naruto, and Sasuke, respectively, because he wanted to smoke with those characters. He felt confident after Delta's defeat that he could handle it. That could be bravado, but I'll say just to be safe, they're within the same tier. Six
Mm.
Paths, Naruto, Six Paths, Sasuke, and then Code, right? I would suppose would be Code V2. And then there's a tier above that, which I would call Karma V3, which is with the horn and like the ring shaped patterns on the hand. And I think that's
Mm.
BoruShiki, Jigen versus Naruto and Sasuke, and what I believe Kawaki's tapping into towards the end of 65. And then there's Ishiki and then Barrier mode above that. So I think they don't get any stronger than Jigen from the fight with Naruto and Sasuke. Now that gets difficult to quantify because the Jigen absorb Ten Tails energy. So I don't know where that scales him at, if that's like a difference. But I think yeah, I would put them at the highest heights of possibilities, Jigen versus Naruto and Sasuke level.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. I think that's a very good way to look at it. And of course, a very underrated thing that you just pointed out, Jigen, when he's fighting against Naruto and Sasuke, did actually absorb some of the Ten Tails chakra. And that right there potentially put him up above, even potentially cold without his limiter, honestly. So we don't fully know. Now,
That's a question.
me personally, I've always thought of it like this, and a lot of people kind of underrate Delta. So I kind of understand why people won't necessarily fully understand this. I personally believe that Delta matched Naruto and Sasuke, well, Naruto specifically with Karma, his speed and strength feats. I think that Boruto in his second stage of his Karma seal is slightly above Delta. I think that right there would possibly be a very good estimate of just Boruto in the second stage of the Karma seal, the one without the horn, like, but again, a little bit the stronger version of his Karma seal form. I think that right there would be a very good barometer for Boruto, and of course, when Momoshiki takes over Boruto, that shoots him up possibly even Naruto level with Karma, potentially even past that. I think it'd be fair to say that BoruShiki, full BoruShiki with chakra, is stronger than Naruto at his peak, of course, excluding Baryon mode. Now, Kawaki, on the other hand, I think this right here is going to be very interesting because he has the ability to actually, the ability and wiggle room to go to 100% Karma Seal. He might actually be above that. I would say I wouldn't say slightly. I'd say, again, possibly
Wait,
20% above that.
who has the ability to go to 100%?
Kawaki. And
Kawaki.
I explained this a little bit earlier, but again, this right here is essentially because Ishiki Otsutsuki is no longer alive. So he doesn't necessarily have to keep his karma seal suppressed as how Boruto does. Kawaki can have his karma seal go to 100% with no threat of his body being taken over by an Otsutsuki member. And of course, that right there in itself is going to make them a lot strong. Well, him specifically 20% stronger than Boruto.
I'm not sure that works that way though, because so the reason why Kawaki is around 80% O2
Mm.
is because the original Karma Seal was enacting a function, which was to extract data, rewrite his genetics into that of Ishiki. That Karma Seal was removed, thus that function is removed. Now we don't know, like the Karma Seal that we assume Amato placed on Kawaki, that's not Ishiki's karma. Therefore, its function wouldn't be to extract data, rewriting Kawaki's genetics further. Its function is to allow its sole function is to allow Kawaki access to the already rewritten genetics within his body, which is about 80%.
Yeah, 80%.
So I think so I think these are fundamentally two different instances where Amato's karma seal, if we're assuming that's Amato's karma, um, its primary functions are completely different than what Ishiki's was. So I don't think Kawaki could access any more of Ishiki's power outside of what he already had once the karma was removed.
No, you might be correct because I don't recall me actually going back and looking over specifically what Amato said in regards to his brand new Karma Seal. But if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was, of course, he'd implant Ishiki's Karma Seal into Kawaki again, and he won't necessarily have the threat of Ishiki taking back over. But I'd have to rewatch it. Now, you might be completely right. But if that's the case, then of course, Kawaki and Boruto will then be equal. Then it's only really a matter of what the dojutsus are going to be. We understand that Boruto is going to have the Jogan in the future, and we understand it's possible. We don't know for sure, not 100%, that Kawaki is going to have a dojutsu as well. But also, that right there is going to be essentially what separates Boruto and Kawaki. Just how strong is their dojutsu going to make them in comparison to the other.
I think I agree with that, but the whole thing is, if we are operating under the assumption that Kawaki will not be able to access any more than around 80% of Ishiki's power, then that also we have to assume that Boruto, with his original karma still intact currently, it's still extracting information, albeit suppressed from the pills. How much information was extracted when Momoshiki took over in chapter 65? Because if the pills were working like they were supposed to, or like we were told they were supposed to, then Momoshiki shouldn't be here. So that tells me like maybe the pills' effects are waning over time. You have to. It's
Well,
not a
I mean,
fix. It's
no. I would say that it's working. Momoshiki even acknowledged the drugs in this latest manga chapter. He said that it's pretty much just a stopgap. So you're pretty much just like stretching out the time where I'm going to take over your body. So the pills are working. I would give it that.
No, I mean, are they working in the instance in which Momoshiki said that? Is what I'm saying.
No, here's what Melo's saying. Eventually, over time, just because it slows it down doesn't necessarily mean it's going to halt it indefinitely.
Yeah, I know.
It could possibly be a certain situation where, hey, in a year, Boruto might be 82%. 2 years from now, he might be 85%.
They're stretching out the time where Momoshiki would take over his body. That's all that the pills are
But
doing.
what I'm saying is like the mere fact that Momoshiki's even having this conversation with Boruto right now, that tells me, or at least that leads me to assume that the pills aren't working like they're supposed to right now. And Momoshiki's his consciousness is back. Okay, so are we working under the assumption that when Boruto took those pills, Momoshiki's consciousness was suppressed, or Momoshiki was always still there? It's just that the extraction never happened, and whatever has been extracted up until the point Boruto took the pills, that is what we've seen in chapter 65.
What I'm hearing is, from what I read, is that it's going to slow down the ossification. So whatever damage has already been done, it's already been done in Boruto's body. There's no reversing that. So if Momoshiki was able to take control of his body at 80% just 2 chapters ago, or 3 chapters ago, how many chapters that was ago, he was, in a sense, should be able to take over his body still, even with the pills, even if the pills are working. It's just stopping.
That can't be.
I don't see why not. He's still 80% Momoshiki.
Because one of the reasons why, like, there were primarily 2 problems that needed to be solved that the pills supposedly solved. Number one, Boruto being rewritten to Momoshiki resurrecting, the world ending. And number two, Momoshiki taking over Boruto's body and going on a rampage, killing everybody.
But
And
Amado never stated that. Amado just said that it will slow down the process.
that is true. So are we operating under the assumption that Momoshiki at any point, all the way back to the point where he got the Boruto got the pills and started taking the medication, he could have just manifested whenever he wanted to and killed people?
It's seeming like it's only when Boruto's low on chakra, but this chapter, it seems like Boruto wasn't low on chakra. So I don't know, bro. They keep on going back and forth on how Momoshiki possesses Boruto. Before it was when he was low on chakra. Go ahead, Bar.
Well, again, it was officially announced to us, like it was made clear that it was when Boruto was unconscious. Now he was unconscious, like he actually fainted, had a heart attack. Now we don't know what caused that. Momoshiki himself could have caused that, and if that's the case, it could open a whole other can of worms. Can Momoshiki just take over Boruto's body at will whenever he wants to? But also, it could possibly just be because Boruto, in fact, did pass out, and that actually gave Momoshiki an opening. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But real quick, I do want to kind of point this out in regards to the power scale in Naruto or Boruto and Kawaki. I think a very important part that we have to understand is the Otsutsuki member that actually gave them the Karma Seal. Ishiki Otsutsuki is stronger than Momoshiki Otsutsuki, which would possibly mean, hypothetically, if Kawaki is accessing 80% of Ishiki Otsutsuki's power and Boruto is accessing 80% of Momoshiki's power, the power that Kawaki is accessing might be more powerful than the power that Boruto is accessing because of the Otsutsuki members that they're extracting the power from.
Bar, I think you have an excellent point. Like everything that I know tells me that Ishiki's stronger than Momoshiki, but there's something I can make an argument, is what I'm saying, that Momoshiki was like really nerfed and really suppressed in his battle. But whatever, I'm not gonna go there. That's neither here nor there. So yeah, Ishiki's stronger than Momoshiki. I'm fine with that. And then Kawaki accessing more power, I'm fine with that too. So like, I don't know, 100% of Momoshiki may be the equivalent of 80% of Ishiki. Thus, Kawaki never really needs to get any more than 80% to scale to Boruto. I like that idea. It makes sense to me.